Hello once again everybody, welcome back. This is Hardspace Shipbreaker. A very interesting game, which is actually quite satisfying, especially if you play in free play, which is what we're going to be doing today. These geckos are absolutely massive, and I've tried taking one of those apart before, but it took me hours. It took me hours. Those things are huge. So we're just going to go with one of these mackerels. Now, the question is which one? So obviously you've got the cargo ships, or you've got the civilian transit. Now, I prefer that one, actually. I do. So the background music's a little bit loud in my headphones. I'm just turning those down. It is a very interesting game. I much prefer free play because that gives me the unlimited time. It unlocks everything, and it just allows me to play around with it, basically. Because otherwise you're limited by time. Oh yes. Now I haven't played this for, let's see, probably a couple of weeks now. So I've got to kind of relearn all the buttons. So WASD, of course, moves you side to side and forwards and backwards, and because you're in space, there's like velocity. So obviously I'm looking down there, but I'm still going in the direction that I went in. So we'll press T, which will bring up our scanner and will show us our ship. So you can see there's an airlock there. There's various compartments. They're all pressurized, which is why they're in green. These nacelles at the sides, they can be cut off. Anything that's in yellow is something that you can cut. So yes, we'll come out of that for now. I think no, space moves you up. Was it? Oh yeah, control stops you dead, and that is incredibly handy. Now, right, okay, so right mouse button is a tether. So you got to hold it down and drag it. There we go. Now we can release tethers, but I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I know I found it last time. Is it something like R? No. You know what? I can't remember them now. So that was the that was left mouse. Middle mouse wheel. There we go. See, I'm trying to learn all my buttons again. That's it. I think that just pulls something, does it? Yeah, I think that just pulls something. Right. Okay, so that's the grapple. 2 is your cutter. Yeah, that's your grappling thing. This is the cutter, or the split saw, it says. As you can see, things light up in danger because the other side of that is pressurized, and if you were to cut there, you're going to release pressure, and it's explosive decompression and all sorts of things that go flying around. So right mouse button switches that around, so I can just go zip, and that is now free floating. So we can go over to our grapple. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a tether between this and the barge down the bottom, because you can see nacelle. I'm pointing to it with my hand. You can't see my hand. So you can see the little thing underneath there, nacelle, barge. It tells you how much it weighs. So if we get a grapple and we go down to the barge, that will now pull that out of the way. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Switch to the grapple. And come over here. So there we go. So we've now I don't think you get any money for playing in this mode. I'd be very surprised if you did. So we'll just stop here. Oh no, that's the wrong button, of course. There we go. Switch back to the grapple, which is 1 on the keyboard. It's just normal buttons, not the number pad. And that goes out of the way. So 2 is that. 3 doesn't do anything. Oh, 4 is a flashlight. That's interesting. I thought that was F. No, F isn't. F isn't. Okay, so we'll go over to the grapple. That is a light. That's interesting. Right. So how do you release the tethers? Oh, my tether over there is gone. Yes, that must be 4 then. Interesting, because the UI down there shows a D-pad. You can see danger there because it's pressurized, but this is an airlock. So we can go in and depressurize this. F to activate that.
Airlock pressure levels dropping.
There we go, the door opens and we can go in safely. Look at this, this thing is... See, if you think that this is the small ship, how big is the big one? The big one is huge. Absolutely huge. Okay, so this is the interior. I mean, there's not a huge amount of room in here. Right, so yes, we need to deal with the air in here. So this over here is the atmosphere regulator, so we can turn off the air.
Air pressure level decreasing.
And that is the only way of safely it's the only way of safely cutting up a ship is to do that. Now we will collect the data drive. Yes, I will do that. Thank you. So here's the cockpit. There's various bits and bobs. There's a computer terminal and there's seats. I've never actually completely disassembled a ship. So yes, I think the first thing you need to do is get rid of the reactor, because that is by far the most expensive piece of kit. And we don't seem to be able to open this door. See, there's various bits and bobs that you can collect around it. Ah, there's a cut point. See, if we cut those, the top panel should flow away. Oh, come on, stop floating around. Stop floating around. There's our split saw. Ah, there we go. Press the button again and you get the more focused lasery mode. So there we go. That's that bit gone. Oop, let's go back. There we are. Let's get that out of the way and that panel flies off. Drill. So what we've got here obviously is the grapple, so we can click the middle button and that sort of punts it away, and then we can use left mouse button then to sort of hold it. Ooh, I'm obviously trying to move it around too quickly, so that needs to go into the processor. Thankfully they are color coded. See, processor's blue, so that's down this chute here. It's an awful lot easier just to go just to set up a tether and get it out of the way like that. So there we go, we're starting to strip away this place. Now we've got antennas there that we'll have to deal with later, but it's still a question of this door. It's still a question of this door, so how do you get through? Well, moderately easily actually. Because, see, the thing is, right, there's a door control there. See, it is actually quite disorienting in space. Let's just rotate around. So that's the Q and E buttons, do that. So yes, there's no actual, like, way of opening this door, it would seem. So let's just stop ourselves in place. Get the stinger out. Now there's a light there as well, so can we just grab that and pull? Let's try, shall we? Oh yes, we can. Brilliant. And I think if you hold right mouse button while holding left, it allows you to pull in the object you've got. So what we're going to do with this, we're going to punt this now. So make sure we stop, nice and stationary, release it, and then punt it. Boop. There we go.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Now I'm just going to turn off the music because it does get quite annoying. After a while. It's nice, but it does... right, no, save the options. Thank you, save the options. Let's get out of there. Right. So, that's an nacelle, yes, of course it is. Of course it is. So yes, it's can actually be quite tricky figuring out how to get to places just to dismantle them. So yes, that was a light we just got rid of. It's much better if we do that than we send the whole thing somewhere else. So this is after a recent update where it shows you the weight of the item itself and the weight of everything it's connected to. So you can see that bit there that I'm pointing at is furnace, but this whole thing then is processor. So what else is there? Are these panels here separate? Well, I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to be... see, most of this goes into the processor. So obviously it doesn't really like it when you move it out of the range of your equipment. So there we go. We can pull that. See, we're trying to pull this in, but we're actually moving ourselves. And remember, stuff has momentum. So I gave that a yank, and that is now still moving. So grab, tether. Ooh. Come on, there we go. And whoosh, away it goes. So in the game, of course, you have a limited number of tethers. I think that once they're in the processor, the tether's released and you can use another one, but it doesn't actually matter in here. So it looks as if we can get in there. See, now that we've moved this out of the way, oh yes, there it is. There is the reactor. So we really need to remove this floor panel so we can get at the other side. So hold us here. I don't really care about all this trash. Bottle. Really? So we cut that, and you'll see the cutter has an overheat. So if you use it too much and don't let it cool down, I think it hurts you. I think it takes it. Yeah, I think it then burns you. I'm not entirely sure because I've avoided it before now. So there we go. That's that out of the way. I don't really want to punt it. So thankfully, we'll switch to the grapple. We'll just grapple it and then move forward. And hopefully that should push it. Is it not pushing it? No, it's not. Let's punt it then. Oh, no, that was too much punting. Too much punting. I don't want it there. I do not want it there. Come here, please. See, I'm trying to pull it now. See, does 4 release tethers? No. I can't remember what releases tethers. Right, let's have a quick look at the control scheme. That's the one, control scheme. What releases tethers? I know that something releases tethers. V, okay, cool. Let's go back. It's V to release that tether. Now grab it. Come on. See, unfortunately that is... Right, there we go. So we'll cancel that odd tether there. And yes, processor, so we'll grab that to the processor there. Now I have had things go into the wrong hole before, and yeah, that didn't go well. You certainly don't get as much money for it as you should. So anyway, fly back into this hole, remove this panel, and then we'll have access to just whip out the reactor. You can see it through the gap there. So let's go in a bit, switch back to our stinger. So you can see how this game does take a lot of time to play. And they only give you 15 minutes a shift in the normal mode. So for each shift you have to recover enough stuff. Come on. You have to recover enough stuff to cover the higher costs of your spacesuit and your equipment and pay off your debt. It's one of those dystopian corporate dystopia games. That's the word I was looking for, corporate dystopia. You see it quite a lot these days. Satisfactory is a corporate dystopia game. Now what is that? Oh, that's a empty bag of chips. Well, food pack.
Valuable object processed.
So we'll use a we'll use a tether just to get that into the furnace. Whoosh! Oh wow, look at that. That thing has no mass whatsoever. Now thankfully, once something gets close to these, they're kind of sucked in very slowly. So you don't have to worry about that side of things too much. So, the reactor. When it comes to the reactor, once it becomes disconnected from the ship, it starts to melt down. So you've got to get it out there and on the barge as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not entirely sure if you can just tether it to the barge and it just whips it out. I'm pretty sure that's all you have to do. Oh yeah, that's all you have to do. So you can see that little thing there. There we go. That's the reactor out. Reactor out, nice and quick, nice and safe. Right, so you got that panel there, that's all fine. You've got the reactor plate there, that's also processor, that's okay. And you have the light. Now remember what we did with the light. Come on, stop. There we go. So we shoot it with the grapple and it'll then come adrift. So the grapple down to the barge again. Whoosh, there we go. That thing moves so quickly. So you've got a thruster here as well. Now, can you just grapple that out? So when it comes to this game, you sort of cherry pick the more expensive bits, because of course you have a limited amount of time and you have to pay for every you have to pay quite a lot of money for every 15 minutes you get with a ship. I mean, look, we're already at 17 minutes here. And we've only just taken... Oh no, that's the wrong one. Can I just grapple this? Yes, I can. Awesome. So that's this little plate on the back here. So where's that going? I can't see. Oh, processor. Right, okay. So we'll tether that to the processor. So that'll go off there. And it's now within the influence and it gets sucked in. So yes, that's the thruster cap. So now we need this. So there we go. Oh, I've tethered that. I didn't want to do that. I want that, and I want to pull it. Not much, but just a bit, just enough to get it out. And then that then goes down to the barge. You do have to be a little bit careful though, because objects flying through space at speed can hit you and hurt you. Of course it can.
Account credit applied.
So, is this whole thing at the back one unit? I believe it is. I believe it is. So we need to get inside. So actually, I think if we wanted to take just the reactor out, we could have gone in this way once we got the thruster out. See, there's all this 0G business. So that bit's processor, that bit's processor, that bit's processor. All of this bit around here is processor, so we can probably take all that off in one go. This bit of structure here is also processor. I mean, there's not actually that much to... Yes, that is a cut point, good. I was just checking. So yeah, there's not actually that much point in sort of stripping it down into small bits if something like this whole rear thruster bit can just be undone. Now you see, once that had gone, it started to damage that panel. Ooh, there we go. So you've got to kind of time your cuts. So that should now be free. If we have a look down there, you can see next to, over the little red bar, it's 3601 kilos, and then in brackets it's 41 kilos. So the one in brackets is for the actual bit you're pointing at, and the bigger number then is for everything that's connected to it. So that number changes when we look at something down here, so they are not connected. So give it a punt, a bigger punt. No, it's still not moving? Okay, well it is fairly heavy. So all of that can go in the processor. No, that was the wrong button. I wanted to go... See, that's the whole problem with sort of flying around in 0G. Because you need to sort out exactly where you're going. Now if we hook that straight up there, it'll kind of yank it around. And it's actually starting to spin the ship. Because of course it was hooked onto it. Oh look, we've actually got other bits attached to it that we didn't see. So we've got fuel tank. See, because we didn't think it would be these end caps here as well. So we've got this fuel tank. And there's another one over there as well. Now, we do need to remove those as gently as possible. There we go. So if we tether that now down to the barge, hopefully that will extract itself without exploding. Lovely. Ooh. Because the problem is the cancel all movement button is right next to the go down button. Anyway, we will ungrapple that. That was moderately violent. So we'll tether that back over here. Hopefully that will now move out of the way, but relatively slowly. So all of that should be should indeed be for the processor. So we just need to go into here now and extract that fuel tank. Oh, it's all the way down there now, is it? Oh dear. Right, yes, we're on the grapple mode. So grab it and move backwards. Be very careful. Very careful. You probably let go and let it drift now. grapple down to the barge. Make sure it's not the other end of the barge, of course.
Processing valuable object. Credits awarded.
Right, there we go. That's that done. Lovely. So, what to salvage next? Well, the floor is always good for salvage, actually, because you can whip stuff out then that is destined for the barge pretty much straight away. See, all these seats are for the barge. So, what do we need now? Just remove this bit of floor. Look at this. See, it's a very satisfying game. Very satisfying game. Yeah, we're still in grapple mode, so we'll just stop, switch back to the stinger, get rid of these cut points. This floor will drop away. Come on, come on. There we go. And the floor drops away. So that needs to be into the processor. Down we go, there we are. Back to the grapple. Halt movement. Grab that. And move it down. Come on. Move it down. Remembering, of course, that everything in space has momentum. And give that a yank. And away it goes. Hopefully all of that is destined for the processor. I wish it would give you a breakdown of exactly which bits are meant for which thing.
Credits deposited.
Because let's get rid of that, because I think that was stopping it going in. Right. So yeah, I wish it would give it a breakdown of exactly what needs to go where. Because I'm looking at this, and this is obviously for the entire thing. You know, 24 tons of stuff. You know, that little bit there is going for the furnace, but what about the rest of it? It should show me exactly what is going where. So actually, no. What I was going to do there is I was going to put a grapple between, a tether between that and the barge, so that when I released it, by doing that, it would just fly away. But I think that the ship is now light enough to be pulled by a tether anyway. So that's one. I mean, hey, look, let's try it. Oh no, that just yanked it straight off. Oh, brilliant. See, we're learning things all the time. Let's get rid of these seats. One down there. Now, I know in the normal game you're limited as to how many tethers you can use. I'm not entirely sure whether that is tethers at once. So when you release the tether, it then gives you another tether you can use later. I'm moving. Why am I moving? I shouldn't be moving. There we go. There's another seat just yanked out. So what we'll do is we'll put a tether down there first, and then we'll come up here and hook on. Yeah, joink. That is really satisfying. That's really quite funny, actually. God, look at all that crap on that barge. Let's get rid of those tethers now. Okay, so what next? So we got rid of those. So all these cut points. Right, well, if we activate our scanner, we do have panels on these outside compartments, which we should probably work on those next. Or maybe we should just get rid of this bit of roof. Now, the thing I've noticed is that my frame rate tanks when I put the scanner on. It does not like the scanner. And also there's it's a bit drifty when it comes to the rotation. So that's something you have to account for. That's that done. Over here. So we should be approaching half an hour now. Yeah. I'm not going to completely dismantle this thing, because that would probably take another half hour at least. But we'll see what we can do in a certain amount of time. Now, these things here are useful for attaching tethers to. There we go. So we just gave it a bit of a tether just to pull that away. Oh, that's right. I've still got the antennas. There we go, that's all going into the processor. So we've got the grapple. Take the antenna off. So yes, you see, if you move too quick... stop, will you? Stop. There we go. If you move too quick, you will lose grip. Oh, this game, man. This game is a very satisfying game. And punt. There we go. I do like punting stuff occasionally. So we've got that. These beams here are sort of obviously structure aluminium. So it's all a question of. There we go. That's that done. There's nothing on the top though. So how much of this is just going to drift away when we undo these? Is anything drifting? Well, that's definitely loose. That is definitely loose. Right. So that's mostly processor, I think. Yeah, we'll just dump all that in the processor. Oh no, I'm on the stinger. Grapple, that's what I want. Into the processor. It's so satisfying just seeing a chunk of the ship being pulled away. It really is, isn't it? So that is that separate. That's 1.3 tons. That's still quite a lot. So that can also be dragged away. Now obviously some of that, see, that's got a light attached. We could have extracted that, but at this point it's not really all that worth it. So you just drag the whole thing out and dump it in the processor. That's fine. You've lost the light. You know, you haven't salvaged the light. Just as the same as if you send any aluminium that way, it'll be lost rather than going in there. So we're now sort of in a front compartment. Ah, that looks like it's pressurized. Why is that pressurized? Interesting. See, that's another compartment. But I can see through there cut points. So get my cutter out and we'll just get past it. I wonder if that's enough to whip this front end off. No, that's still connected. Oh, it's the airlock. That's why it's pressurized. Right. That's why that's pressurized. Okay. That makes sense now. So we'll go up and we'll just activate the airlock.
Airlock pressure levels dropping.
And there we go. All of that is now done. So it's that bit at the front then. Can we just undo those cut points and just get the entire front piece off? I mean, I'm not going to bother separating all these like seats and computer consoles. I'm just going to get rid of them. I'm not doing a whole job here. There we go. That's the one I wanted. I just want to see what happens, basically. That's the beauty of free mode. You can just go around and do whatever you like. Have a bit of a play, see what works and what doesn't. You don't have time pressure. I'm not using oxygen, I'm not using thruster fuel. I've got all the fully upgraded equipment. So, is that enough now? Yes, those are now separate. So that's the entire front cockpit section. But I think we can just pull away. Okay, so that should be enough. I'm gonna switch back to the grapple, hook a tether on there. No, hook on here and give it a bit of a pull. You're going to give that a pull? Good. So there we go. We've disconnected the tether. Look at this. This whole thing just coming apart. I think I'd actually be fairly scared if that was just held on with 4 little bits that were that easy to cut. I would, I think. So we just got that cut point left. And there's that coolant tank, which you also don't want to explode. So go back there, grab that. So that should now back to the grapple. It's pretty much all processor, that, isn't it? Yes, okay, cool. So grab that into the processor. No, that's not going away because there is another cut point that we missed. And unfortunately, this is now in motion, so this is going to make things a little bit tricky. Right, that looks as if it has come apart now. Grapple you over there. There we go. Eventually. Right, so this thing, we're on the grapple, we can just grapple that and then tether it down to the barge.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
It's not telling me that I'm destroying anything, which is what it used to say, what it used to do. So there's quite a lot of this then. See, this whole cockpit section does need quite a lot of work to dismantle into all this nanocarbon and aluminium and stuff. So, come on, I need to get over there. That's it, just stop. Come over here, switch to the Stinger again. Perfect, perfect. That's exactly where I wanted to be. God, look at that, it's 36 minutes now. Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll take this off, we'll get this coolant out. Oh no, coolant's exploded. Okay, well that's what happens when the coolant explodes. Everything gets a bit brittle, and you can hear my guy breathing faster. Now I don't know if that in the rest of the game whether that will increase your oxygen consumption. I would have thought it would. So all of this, I wonder if I can just get all of that in the processor. Just have done with it. I think that's enough. Yes, that's enough for one. That's enough for one tether to handle, I think. The rest of this, you can see the rest of this is now pretty easy.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
What is that noise? Since the rest of this should be fairly easy. I mean, the airlock itself, I think, needs actual cutting. actual cutting loose. I think I'll just do that, and then we'll call it a day. So what we need to do is we just need to cut through everything holding it to the rest of the ship. So the stinger should be okay for these. Obviously when you cut those it just destroys the whole thing. So you have to be fairly careful when using the stinger. But when you use the split saw, there you go, you see, stuff has actually been destroyed. But this is free mode, so we don't really care. So we come here, stop, rotate. We're going to cut the other side of that lumpy thing, like that. Did that force us back? Or did that force the ship outwards? That is the question now. Oh, stop, 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 stop. So if we just go over here. Now thankfully it doesn't cut through stuff. Multiple layers of things. So that's just going to cut through this now. There we are. Oh no, it does actually cut through things behind it. So yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful with this as to what's there and what's behind it. It's basically anything that has those little red dots on it is going to get cut. So that didn't cut that thing behind it. Maybe we just need to get a bit closer. So I'm pretty sure that thing there is the only thing holding the airlock on now. Stop, stop, stop. Why is that not lit up? I'll switch to the stinger. Oh, you know what? I don't think we can actually do that. We can't do that either. That's interesting. I don't really want to do that bit. There we go. That's got it free. Right. So, grapple, dump that in the processor. That'll be fine. Off you go. So we have absolutely torn this ship apart today. This thing has practically nothing left. I mean, we've still got this side that we haven't taken apart, but we've been at it for 41 minutes now. This would be 3 shifts. So you can certainly see that unless you cherry pick the good bits, do that first in 1 shift. It may then be worth doing a 2nd shift, but going into a 3rd or even a 4th to completely dismantle the thing isn't really worth it, because you end up then paying more in fees for the day than you do in than you get back in actual stuff that you manage to, well, recycle, basically. So that's what we're doing. So I'm not, oh right, yes, of course, at the end of the shift you go back to your little module over here. So yeah, so I think that's enough for today. It's not a complete teardown, because you can just imagine that tearing down a ship like that properly, you know, separating each bit, putting it where it's supposed to actually go, would probably take a couple of hours. End shift, yes. So yes, that would probably take a couple of hours. Look at that, almost 2 million credits earned. I'm not entirely sure if I actually get that cash or not. So we've got our 2 nacelles, we've got nanocarbon, we've got quite a lot of that. See, light, food pack. Oh look, you do actually get quite a bit of money for the food pack. So I think it is actually worth doing if you have the time. pipe junction. See, that was actually processed because that was attached to the thruster assembly that we just got rid of all in one go. So you see all this stuff that was destroyed, this was on stuff that we didn't separate properly. So we have no idea how much that would have been. No idea. But yeah, see, airlock console, that was just destroyed because that was supposed to go somewhere else. So that's basically it. You can certainly see that if I was going to do that over 3 or even 4 shifts, then that would eat into that amount quite significantly. Now, I don't think that we actually get this money in free mode. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually tested any of that. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at Hardspace Shipbreaker. I kind of hope to come back to it later. Oh no, look, our debt is still 999 blah-de-blah. So yes, you don't actually earn the money in free play. It's just for fun. You need the career mode to actually pay off your massive debt. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this look at Hardspace Shipbreaker. It's a game I want to play again, definitely. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, remember to click the like button and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. Remember to join us for the next video. Goodbye.